The YJL High New Gundam Resin Conversion Kit. From what I have been told, this is one of the most difficult conversion kits on the market, and I'd be inclined to agree. There are many small nuances and painting options, and it's really easy to get overwhelmed. And one mistake is all it takes to have to paint another piece all over again. And depending on how much detail work you already have into that piece, it can lead to a very bad day. I do love the kit's design, but I won't lie to you, it isn't for beginners. It would be a challenge even for experienced gunpla builders. This kit requires so much from you to get it right. Sure, you could half-ass the paint job, but you cheat yourself of the experience of pushing yourself beyond your comfort zones. I don't know how many parts there are in this kit, to be real with you. The only thing I do remember is I spent 6 months building it. Now, let's talk about some pros and cons that won't be in any specific order because I don't care. I'm very stretched for time right now. The cons, the official paint, the Anchor T paint set for just about every YJL kit and former Anchor T kit that exists before YJL took over. Getting this paint from Asia is a pain in the ass, and it only got harder after COVID. Getting the paint from American retailers is like trying to find buried treasure. Also, it costs an arm and a leg when you do find it. I highly recommend only using Guyano clears or Mr. Hobby clear paints with these Anchor T paint sets. For some reason, the E7 clear eats through the Anchor T paint, like pouring thinner all over it, dude. I'm going to assume that the E7 paints that I were sold were just overly thin. Dude, it's probably why it looks really glossy when it goes on, and then when it dries, your paint gets eaten away. Do not. Another issue I found, Mark Softer. Oddly enough, Mark Softer just also eats through the paint, even with a clear coat from Guy Notes or Mr. Hobby. Let's go on to Fitment. For the most part, it's spot on. Also, pro tip, follow the instructions when putting together the core unit or the chest unit of the kit. Do it to the letter. If you skip forward, like putting the door in place before the kit has been completely assembled first, you will find that this will lead to fitment issues where nothing will click in place and you will end up chipping and scratching your paint or having to modify. I noticed a couple builders, including myself, making this mistake, but nobody telling anyone else this issue here. The backpack is also a con. It's pretty much a lead weight. In the instructions, it says you can just use glue to hold the backpack in place, but I found this not to be true in my case. When only using glue, the backpack easily got itself free, fell off of new Gundam, and I had new paint chips to deal with. I noticed with the backpack there's quite a bit of cleanup work versus the rest of the kit, but that's par for the course for most resin kits. And even after doing all the cleanup work I did and modification, it was still slightly off in fitment. Maybe I built the kit wrong, who's to say currently. I won't know for sure until I build another one down the road. But I was forced to use the pin method to lock the backpack in place so that it could support the overwhelming weight of the thrusters and the wing binders without snapping off and creating more issues. The legs are another problem you're going to run into. When I pre-built my new Gundam to make sure all the resin kits fit and everything was clean and in place, once I took it apart and put it back together again after painting, I found that my joints were far looser. This is a problem. So be cognizant that there is a possibility the leg joints will be looser in the knees. Plan ahead for it and be ready for it, because weak knees means more instability in an already unstable kit. Once finished, the YJL New Gundam is a brick. There's no way around it. This is probably one of the biggest bricks I've ever built. This kit is meant to be on display and not touched. Also, I recommend modifying the stand and chiseling it down, sanding it down, cutting it down, making it thinner around the fuel tank area of the backpack. If you don't, you will run into the issue that I ran into where the fuel tanks kind of rub up against the plastic stand a little bit. This leads to obvious scratching and chipping of the paint, which when you spend 6 months building a kit, every chip of paint is just proof you've wasted your life. Overall, this kit is beautiful to behold, and it's a great display piece for any collector or in any office. But due to the over-the-top design and the sharp edges, it's very easy for this kit to chip paint on. There is little to no posability, and that's because the overall weight of the weapons and accessories. The new beam rifle for the new Gundam is sick, but it's heavy. YJL did plan ahead for this and gave an adapter part that you can easily glue in place, but that locks the beam rifle into new Gundam's forearm permanently. This kit is truly for the dedicated and not the easily frustrated. If you have the time, the energy, the patience, and the skill, I would recommend this kit to you wholeheartedly, especially if you like the design. This has to be a labor of love. I can easily see someone building this and becoming burnt out on it. The fin funnels alone can drive you insane. For everyone else, you may need to pay for a commission build of this kit. But be warned, all experienced builders that do work on this resin kit charge an arm and a leg. I checked with MadWorks and I believe they charge something like $4,000 to build one. So keep that in mind. Either be prepared to spend a lot of time on it or money. The choice is overall yours. I'd give it a 4.5 out of 5. I got to take away 0.5 points because, the weight issues, the fitment issue in the back, the inability to really pose it, the sharp edges that are easy to chip or scratch. And there are parts that rub against each other too. So, it's really not meant for posing. That's why when you see all the promotional photos for it, what is it doing? Standing there. But supposedly the high new Gundam version of this, without the wing binders, fixes a lot of those issues with posability, supposedly. We'll find out later on. Oh, that's it for me. Adios, muchachos. I don't really have a tagline for Gundam stuff, like, keep building and shoot for the stars. That's not me. Do what you want. Eat ass, skate fast, eat trash, live fast, whatever works for you.